And we are live. Good morning to everyone. I hope everybody's doing very well. This is Travis from Carter Capital, helping you fight for your financial freedom throughout the Forex market. This is another episode of Trade with Travis, episode 286, I believe. As we go through and being able to take a look at pairs, talk about what ended up happening after the aftermath of being able to talk about interest rate decisions, and being able to go from there. From a U.S. standpoint, the interest rate decisions end up going up 0.25 basis points. So we're going to talk about how that end up affecting the market, including a few other things. I'm going to go ahead and open up the disclaimer, talk about that real quick, and then after that, I'm just going to go ahead and jump into a pair that we ended up taking a trade on yesterday. Talk about how well that ended up doing, and then after that, see if there's more opportunities, and kind of go from there. So I'm not a CTA, so I'm not going to tell you whether to buy or to sell. What I'm going to do is teach you education, and from the education, you can be able to make your own informed decision. Now, understand that trading involves risk, and involves risk of being able to make money, also involves risk of being able to lose money. So please keep that in mind. And understand that past performance is not indicative of future results, which means that if you end up making money yesterday, it's not promised that you end up making money today. So with that being said, as we go through, take a look at overall trading opportunities and kind of be able to go from there. I'm going to jump right into talking about what happened on the economic calendar, and then after that, we're going to jump right into US 30, and go from there. Now, if you are live watching this, please just let me know. Let me know if my sound is good, and we'll be able to go from there. From an economic calendar standpoint, yesterday, what ended up happening was um, we ended up having retail sales earlier during the morning. From the Australian dollar ended up being good. The ADP employment change actually ended up being pretty good for the United States dollar, and that's where it kind of ended up stopping. Global composite actually ended up going down to 53.4%. Interest rate decisions ended up moving up from 5% to 5.25. And then after that, we end up having a monetary press conference and kind of going from there. This is the highest that the market has been in a while. I think the market ended up getting all the way up to 6% one time, and then after that, ended up having this huge fall from grace, and that ended up happening, or basically that was right around the start of the pandemic a couple years ago. So something to be able to pay attention to as we end up the second look at what happened from a trading perspective. Now, we ended up taking one trade yesterday. It actually ended up being two, but it was one trade yesterday in particular, and it was basically based off of this move that we ended up seeing based off of US 30, and also kind of understanding that there was a calm before the storm that was happening. And I just want to focus in on this spot right here. So we ended up talking about two possible trades. Um, One, we ended up saying that was going to end up being early, and we talked about how the market was making this kind of a curve when it came down to this overall movement. We ended up saying that we had a big drop. There was about a 400-point move to the downside the first time, and then after that, we had that U-turn. We talked about the buy trade that we ended up discovering in the early portions of April. That literally ended up clearing and hitting right at the take profit point that we thought it was going to end up going to, basically fulfilling that last gap to the upside when it came down to movement, which was right here, and basically the top of the resistance that we ended up having in back in early February, based off of that movement. From there, after that movement, then after that, we end up having a huge fall to the downside, and we end up talking about this particular trade right here. And the reason why we end up saying that, hey, with this only going out to 80 points at this particular point, was because of this gap that we end up seeing in overall movement. We knew that if the market ended up falling off of this overall area right here, which was the highest portion of this volume, that you will see that there will end up being a free run to the downside, and we end up having an opportunity. Now, the unfair market price was from here to here. Unfair market price was from here to here. Uh, that was the first trade. I remember anytime that you end up having like non-farm payroll interest rate decisions or something like that, they end up coming out and the news comes out in the midday. Typically, the first initial move is not going to end up being that much. Uh, and then after that, you end up having, after the news, you end up having like the biggest move and everything else from there. Well, me personally in particular, I knew I wasn't going to be in front of the computer right when the news ended up coming out just because of the basis of my work. So I ended up going after only 80 points and only went after that gap. Market literally gave us a opening or gave us this move on the trade. Our stop loss was almost touched. With our stop loss being above 33,780. We end up having an entry right around 33,700, and then after that, I take profit was at 33,620. Market ended up making its initial move, popped all the way back up here for us. This one tried real quick, and then after that, had that big fall right around that 9 o'clock candle, or right around that 10 o'clock candle. Hit I take profit, bounced all the way back up. Right when the news ended up coming out at 2 o'clock, it ended up popping back up to the upside real quick, and then after that, having a big fall from grace from there. Other than that, the market ended up making a move for almost 500 points to the downside, and currently, right now, if you look at it, we kind of have that same type of curve, and we have that same type of movement to the downside that we ended up taking advantage of yesterday. Now, the problem with this one is, okay, basically, we have hit the bottom right here. That's what the market ended up bottoming out right there. It bottomed out again right here. Um, Now the simple question is it going to keep on going to the downside? Do we have further movement to the downside that we can be able to take advantage of? And the reason why we liked the first trade was because it fell from a very high price and a very high volume node, and then after that popped to the downside. And if you look at it currently right now, we're back at the highest portion of this high node inside of this consolidation, where price can typically just fall down again. Now on this one, there's a couple things that could happen because we're basically at the halfway point of this consolidation that has been here for a very long time. We're talking about since the beginning of November of last year that we have this consolidation. Now, the market falls right here. We have two positions where we can be able to get out. Um, and if we use more information, we can basically say two things. I can say two things for certain and feel pretty confident about it. One, this market could fall down to 33,151, and what you did yesterday. So that position has already been fulfilled. We could talk about a gap in between from this high point to right here as a way of being able to get out from a scalping perspective. But if we fall inside of this area, we're basically inside of the middle of this consolidation that ended up happening in early December of last year. So I think that if the market falls, we're talking about this position falling all the way down to 32,904 as another position of being able to get out, and keep your mind or keep your eyes open for 32,850, which was the support of that previous consolidation that's in blue that ended up happening. So we got two positions where we can look at being able to get out right here in this area. If we do look at being able to take a sale, that will be the area where I would look at being able to go. Now, um, ended up making 80 points off of that move or 90 points off of that move earlier yesterday. So we're kind of in a good position. If I'm looking at being able to make a trade right here, I think I'll be going for, or at least trying to go to the support at 32,850. The market ended up falling into the support yesterday. Remember, when the market breaks a support, it will fall down to a new support. So 32,850 is the move that I will be looking at being able to get at. Stop loss and take profit off of this one will be as follows. And I'm locking this trade in right now because I don't know if I'm going to be able to have any more time to be able to finish this up today. So uh, I'm not going to go with the highest percentage that I end up doing, or the percentage that I ended up doing yesterday, but I will look at being able to make an opportunity. Stop loss or entry will end up being right here. Stop loss will end up being above the swing high of, it has to be above 32,480. So I'm going to say right around 32,5. Let's see. Say 32,520. 32,520 is the stop loss. Take profit on that one will end up being the low of this consolidation that ended up happening in early December. Um, I know I'm going after a further movement. This is a larger drop. This is a 500 point move, but I think that we have a good risk to reward ratio being 196 to 500 points, and also kind of like what I ended up saying before. If you want to look at being able to get out of here and just do a scalp, then we could be able to look at being able to get out at 32. Basically, you could say 3,300 because 3,300 will basically end up being right here at the bottom of this little area of this unfair market price. I think this move will end up having two separate movements. I think it'll be a fall down, a little bit of consolidation. Then after that, another fall down inside this area. From that fall of this area, I think it will probably push down to consolidation right there. Humorous King, what's going on? Hope everything's going well with you. Just looking at looking at another trade opportunity, being able to get in. Uh, Based off of the aftermath yesterday. It does not surprise me, or would not surprise me, if the market keeps on falling. The question is, how much further are we going to be able to get? Okay, so placing in a sell trade right now. Um, I'm going to lower my risk percentage on this one because the market has moved so fast, or based off of the way that the market has moved. It would not surprise me if there may end up being a little bit of a U-turn before the actual market this completely starts being able to go down. So um, sell order is placed in now. Stop loss going above the swing high 33,520. So about 200, right around 200 points from where we are in this position right now. Take profit will end up being 32,820. That is the swing trade of that move. Okay. The scalp of this move, if you're looking at it from a scalp perspective and you want to get out from a scalp perspective, if y'all notice that gap right there would be fulfilled at 32,968. If you want to be a little bit more safe, just say 3,300 or 33,000 would be take profit. 33,300. Sorry about that. Yeah, 33,300 will end up being take profit. Yes, it'll be a little bit earlier than where the actual small point of this is, but I wouldn't want to risk the first trade off of that one. I would want to be able to take as much profit off of that first trade if we can be able to get it, if the market falls down to that level, and feel comfortable about it compared to just not making any move off of that one. But once again, stop loss 33,520. Okay, that trade is locked in. Hold on. Oh, 30, oh, 33. Okay, got it, got it. The action zero. Okay, there we go. Okay, so that's an active order right there. I have two take profit positions. Um, First one's at 33, 33,000. Second one is at 32. With it, 32,820. We'll see how that goes. Okay. All right. So that's placed in. Um, I feel way more comfortable once the market ends up breaking below this overall swing low right here. Hopefully it's not more consolidation that we have to be able to worry about. The market's going to fall just based off of the aftermath of being at a high interest rate. We can be able to take advantage of that. Okay, cool. So let's go ahead and go to the other charts real quick and kind of go from there. Bitcoin ended up popping out of consolidation, kind of like what we ended up saying before. Broke counter trend line break at 28,320. If you end up making a move right there, remember I ended up saying that will probably be the last time that you'll probably see that the market price will be right there in that area. I said that it holds above 29,000, then we're back inside where this market really started making this big jump. Um, Back in April 2020 when they broke inside of this area and really had that first major push up to 65,000. So we're talking about the major consolidation. We're going back inside of this major consolidation price, going back to where this market was kind of living at for the last 3 years. Once it ends up breaking above 29,000 and staying above 29,000. Now we still have that consolidation. We still have this little upside move. I like this a little bit better to being able to buy. I'll be interested in being able to buy if I was you, for just a long term movement, um, and being able to get in. Um, do have a counter trend line break. Do have a high price that we can be able to go after from a excuse me, from a 15-minute perspective. Um, there was a couple counter trend line breaks to be able to keep on moving. I'm not going to call this consolidation because there's not a the high price ended up getting broke to the upside. I don't like this candlestick wick though. So you may end up getting a chance to be able to catch it at a lower price if it falls just a little bit, but that would be the next position that I'm paying attention to. Not interested in jumping in yet, but that is something that I will pay attention to. Let's go US dollar. I'm going to speed up real quick on every other one, and kind of go from there. US dollar index. I'm just going to look at it from a daily perspective. Let's see if my charts will speed up. Let's see. All right, from a daily perspective, why is it doing that? Uh, Okay. All right, cool. From a daily perspective, we're still inside of this consolidation. We talked about 12,750 being support. Uh, Market is back at that support. We have an indecision candlestick kind of going on right now at this particular juncture. We go into this from a 2 hour perspective. We can see that the market ended up finding support at 33,750, and then after that, start being able to pop back up. If you're interested in being able to make a move for strategy four, this may be one of those situations that I'll be looking at being able to jump in. Now, keep this in mind. I say this all the time. If United States dollar index goes up, then if United States dollar index goes up, then that means that the individual indexes, the NAS 100s, the US 30s, the S&P 500s will end up going in the opposite direction. So if US dollar index is going up, then that means that NAS 100, US 30, and XPX 500 should be falling down. Um, and that's the reason why it kind of supports what I ended up saying a little bit earlier about US 30. If the market keeps on falling down, then I believe that US dollar is going to end up going up. We're at a support price, could have a big pop up to the upside. May end up start taking a look at US based pairs. Now, the US based pairs took a hit, so it'll be a retracement trade. If you're a person that doesn't like taking retracement trades, just keep that in mind as we go from there. I'm not going to move any more further when it comes down to that. Oil, we talked about being able to buy as a opportunity, but we also end up saying that we had to have a counter trend line break to be able to get in from the market falling down at support. Market fell down to support and then broke below support um, without giving much of an opportunity yesterday to be able to jump in. And it looks like we're going to end up having a continuation of a movement. This reminds me, this one movement right here to the downside reminds me of what ended up happening with the Australian dollar and New Zealand dollar when it fell down to 50 cents a few years back. What's going on, Block? Um, News came out. It went from 68 all the way down to 64, popped back up, broke a counter trend line break right around that $68 mark, and currently right now is showing the same signs of moving to the downside. This is out of the zone that I thought that the market was going to fall down before being able to make a move to the upside. I'm glad I didn't take this trade, at least for right now, and we'll see how the market kind of reacts. I'm just gonna sit on my hands right now and see how the market kind of plays off. And I don't like how my charts are being very slow. But you can see it from an hourly standpoint or from a daily standpoint. We were in consolidation. The market kind of held this consolidation for a while at $70 a barrel, and then after that it broke to the downside. It ended up retapping this overall area that kind of matches up with this low that ended up happening in early. Uh, that ended up matching up with this low that ended up happening March 19th of this year. So we gotta wait a little bit more, unfortunately, on this one. Okay. Gold, didn't pay attention to what happened with gold based off of the interest rate decision. So we'll take a look at that now. Good morning. Okay. So we've been talking about this one for weeks now. Talking about this movement for weeks. Um, so the first time that the market ended up moving up this way, moving up past 2000, was right in the early portions of 2020. Got all the way up to 2070, and then after that made a retracement. We talked about this as a long-term consolidation spot that ended up happening from 2020 all the way to where we are right now. So market ended up popping up to resistance the first time, up to 2070, kind of showing where the spot actually was in the beginning, or kind of showing that this was the resistance portion in the beginning. Now, the funny part about it is that this market has only hit two separate times back in that same area, or back in that same resistance point, at least for right now. First one being right when the war in Ukraine actually ended up starting, right here, and then after that, what ended up happening yesterday. So the question is now, is this market ready to be able to pop out of this overall area? If it's going to pop out of this area, it's going to end up being above 2080 at the resistance. If it breaks above 2080, then that means that the new D extension will be 2171 as the new position toward the upside, and that means that gold now will end up being stronger than the dollar. Will end up having a lot of movement towards the dollar when it comes down to this overall pricing. But the reason why we talked about this one yesterday was because we were saying, okay, well, if the market breaks out of this consolidation, then that's what we're targeting. Um, and it finally ended up happening. It took about 6 months to be able to make this goddamn move from this consolidation all the way up to the upside, but it was worth it if you were paying attention to it after it breaking above 2010. As soon as it broke above 2010, it retested just a little bit, and then after that, popped back up to the upside. That was the plan. You got the breakout, you have the retest, and then from the retest, then after that, you have your move. So there was your breakout, there goes your retest, retest just a little bit, and then after that, there goes your movement to the upside. Has fulfilled that position. This movement is over with. With gold, we will not be talking about it until we end up getting further information to be able to back what we're going to say. Okay. But keep this in mind. If we're going based off of the trade that we took earlier today on US 30, we would want the market on gold to be able to fall down, which means that you have US based strength. You'll want United States dollar index to keep on going up. That means US dollar based strength based off of retracements. The only reason why we want that to happen is because we want this to keep on falling. So if the United States dollar index goes up, then that means that, United States dollar index in general goes up, then that means that like the Dow Jones, XBX 500, Nas 100, and everything else like that should fall down from that correlation and hopefully end up hitting our positions from there. So there we go. All that kind of ties in all loads of correlations to each other. I'm going to take a look at one more pair, and then after that, we get out of here. It'll be Nas 100. Did not make a trade off of Nas 100. The chart didn't look good in the beginning of the day. And essentially, what ended up happening was that it broke out of consolidation to the upside. We talked about trying to be able to have a counter trend line break to the upside based off of this movement to keep on going from there. And since then, the market has broke inside of this consolidation again. So it fell into support, going down to the new support. Take profit up for this one, that being at 12,860, which is the natural support that the market fell down to from the beginning of those last movements. So if it does fall, I do expect that it's going to keep on going to this downside movement. We still had that same type of counter trend line break movement from there. It's just not affecting the index pairs from Nas 100 all that much like it did with US 30. So um, I'm only going to pick one of these to be able to trade today. The one that I did pick is US 30, and we'll see how everything kind of goes from there. You like what I end up doing, please make sure that you end up clicking on that boost button. For the people that watch this a little bit later, thanks for being able to pop in. Hopefully you end up making a little bit of coin based off of the moves that we ended up talking about yesterday. And this is the last one for the week, so hopefully your trading will end up being good tomorrow as we move forward towards everything. Like always, make sure that you end up planning your trade your plan. I see each and every one of y'all going into next week on Monday. Take it easy.